The family at the center of the Oscar-winning film The Blind Side, now on defense, after former NFL player Michael Oher filed a lawsuit against them, claiming he was lied to and exploited for their financial gain. But the Tuohy family is flipping the script. In a statement to NBC News, their attorney alleges Oher previously threatened them in an attempted shakedown, saying he would plan a negative story about them in the press unless they paid him $15 million. In an interview Monday promoting his new book, Oher did not address the lawsuit, but expressed some frustration with how he was portrayed.
Do you want to stay here, Michael?
Just as the film depicts, Oher describes in new court documents how he was on his own in high school and nearly penniless. He says in 2004, just before his senior year, the Tuohys invited him to live with them, eventually discussing adoption. Oher claims he was tricked into signing documents he believed were a necessary step in the adoption process. But just 6 months ago, he says he learned he was never adopted. Instead, Sean and Leanne Tuohy became his conservators.
This video is brought to you by Pure Talk USA. Ladies and gentlemen, you're looking to save money on your cell phone bill. Look no further. Go to Pure Talk to find the greatest deals that I've ever seen. Think about this: $20 a month for a phone bill. Can you find it anywhere else, any other company? No, you cannot. Unlimited talk, unlimited text, plenty of 5G data on the most reliable network for $20 a month. Also, veteran-owned customer service right here in the United States of America. I have a Pure Talk phone. You can switch your phone and your phone number right over to Pure Talk and save today. Pure Talk saved the average family $900 a year. What are you waiting on? Dial pound 250 and say Brandon Tatum. That's pound 250 on your cell phone. Say Brandon Tatum or hit the link in the description section. Like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell so you get notification anytime I go live, make a video. Y'all already know what to do. Let's get into this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about a little bit about the incident with Michael Oher. I know a lot of people have heard about him and the Tuohy's conflict. I'm going to give my honest opinion. I have met Michael Oher. I talked to him. We just talked on Instagram. And I told him that I wanted to interview him. But I honestly believe it's not fair to interview Michael Oher and not interview the Tuohy's. So what I want to do is find a way to have the Tuohy's have a chance to say something and Michael Oher have a chance to say something and let the people decide what's happening. I'm just going to give you a quick rundown. Michael Oher, and I may be wrong about some of these facts because the movie ain't the facts, right? The movie exacerbate things and create it so it can be an entertaining story.
Who is that, SJ?
Big Mike. He goes to high school here.
What is he wearing? It's below freezing.
Do you have any place to stay tonight? Don't you dare lie to me.
Was this a bad idea?
What's the big deal? It's just for one night. It is just for one night, right, Leanne?
Tell me just one thing I should know about you.
I don't like to be called Big Mike.
Leanne, is this another one of your charities?
We need to find out more about his past.
He's been enrolled in 7 different institutions. His grade point average begins with 0.
He needs to do better in school.
I'd love to work with him.
This is mine?
Yes, sir.
Never had one before.
What, a room to yourself?
A bed.
Michael's grades have improved enough that he can go out for spring football.
How's he doing?
Haven't quite gotten the hang of it yet.
It's all real nice what you're doing, but don't be surprised if one day you wake up and he gone.
I heard you got your new mama now. She fine, too.
Michael was here.
Tell him to sleep with one eye open.
You threatened my son. You threatened me.
Sandra Bullock.
We're in the middle of practice, Leanne.
You can thank me later. This team is your family, Michael. You have to protect them. Tony here's your quarterback. You protect his blind side. When you look at him, you think of me.
Yes, ma'am.
SJ, you're gonna want to get this.
Mike's the best left tackle I've seen in years.
You're changing that boy's life. No, he's changing mine.
The Blind Side.
It appears that Michael Oher came from a broken family. At one point, it said he was homeless. He was a young man. He had lived with the uncle or something of that nature as he was growing up, so he wasn't completely laying on the streets with no support. He had people supporting him. It just wasn't a family structure like normal children would have, like in a normal situation. Let me just use that, lightly. And then it seems like he had a connection with the Tuohys, which is a white family that seemed to have a decent amount of money. They were alumni from Ole Miss. They seemed to have a good, stable home environment. At some point, Michael Oher began to live with them because they had built a relationship. I think he found value in living with them. They found value in him living with them as well. And it seemed like they were a happy family to just basic general knowledge, right? It doesn't seem like anybody had a conflict with that statement, that they were living together. So then it appears that Michael Oher goes to Ole Miss, has an incredible football career. Actually, I played against him at the U.S. Army All-American game. I was a safety. Obviously he was O-line for the East, and we beat him bad. I just want to throw that out there. We beat him like 37-3. Anyway, he goes on to the NFL. I didn't. But anyway, he went to the NFL, had a pretty decent career. I think he did 8 years in the NFL, won a Super Bowl, all of the above. Now, all of this time, it appears, if you look at pictures, if you look at statements from anybody, no complaints, no nothing. It seemed like him and the Tuohys had been family all the way up through the NFL. And I don't know at what point did the communication and any of this break down, but it seemed like there was a communication breakdown at some point. About 15 years or 14 years after the movie Blindside was released, and about a few years out of the NFL, about 3 or 4 years retired from the NFL, that's when the controversy seems to come to a fever pitch. Now, Michael Oher has his side. The Tuohys have their side. Michael Oher is claiming that they used the conservatorship to make money off his name. He claimed that the Tuohys made an incredible amount of money with the movie Blindside, royalties and things of that nature that he had no access to. He believed he was tricked. He was upset that they didn't adopt him because they said they adopted him. And so he felt as if they tricked him into conservatorship. They used his name and likeness to make a lot of money and make deals on his behalf, made a lot of money, gave him nothing. And now that has come to a fever pitch. Now the Tuohys on their side are saying, well, that wasn't necessarily true. We could not adopt him because he was 18. And the only reason we engaged in the conservatorship was because going to Ole Miss was a conflict of interest with him living with us, because the college thought, and this is, I kind of lean towards believing them on this one, because college football thought that they were like sugar parents, right? Because wealthy people do this to athletes, just so you guys know. Wealthy people will sponsor an athlete and really pay them and take care of them to see them through to the NFL. And so the NCAA don't like stuff like that because they don't want players to end up getting paid to play and families kind of quote unquote sponsoring them. And it's a conflict in NCAA football. So they claim, the Tuohys claim, that they started a conservatorship because there was no way for him to go to Ole Miss but be living with them, and he had no connection to the family. So they started a conservatorship, and they claim that Michael Oher's mother was there at the conservatorship. His biological mother was there, present when they did the signature.
Let's talk about what the Tuohys said. They said that their only choice was to have a conservatorship because he was too old to adopt. So is that what you see as the case?
And under Tennessee law, that makes sense. But also, usually a conservatorship, everyone remembers this from the debacle with Britney Spears and her father. The whole point is somebody who is not in a position to take care of their finances. So it's either someone who's underage or, sort of impaired in some way. Now, it's not clear that at 37 years old, he needs to still have the conservatorship. And if they're not contesting it, the judge is probably going to let them out of it. The issue is whether he should be entitled to some sort of back pay or money, because he's saying that they made a lot of money off of his likeness and using his image. But again, it's just not clear that he's going to be able to get any remedy from that.
But Laura, what about this idea that Michael Oher, his claim that he didn't even know he was part of this conservatorship for 20 years.
Yeah.
Does a judge or a jury buy that?
I think that's going to be tough for him. It's just, after 20 years, the idea that you didn't know that you can enter into any contracts. Clearly, he was playing in the NFL. He was entering into a lot of different deals. And so I think it's going to be hard. It's going to be a tough road to be able to prove that in court.
I think it comes down to money. Isn't that the bottom line, and whether he can get any?
And I think they have a pretty good argument that, look, they're wealthy. They made a lot of money, not from this movie at all, but through their restaurant deals. And so did they need 40 grand from the movie?
What about that bit that said that he originally tried to get 15 million from them beforehand, before this whole thing came to light?
And I think that that's going to be a tough fact. If that's true, and the Tuohys can prove that in court, I think that's going to be really tough for him.
Okay. All right, Laura, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me get back to the Michael Oher scenario or situation. It just appears that the Tuohys were saying that they couldn't adopt Michael Oher because he was 18. The conservatorship involved Michael Oher's biological mother, and that's the only reason why they did it. They also explained that nobody really made money off of Blindside, that $15,000 or so was given to every kid, including Michael Oher. This is what they're claiming, including Michael Oher, and they never received royalties. Now, another scenario, or at least another scenario that they brought up, was that the father, the Tuohy father, Sean Tuohy or something like that, he sold a restaurant company or a franchise with a restaurant for like $200 million just recently. And so what they are essentially claiming is that now, since they sold that restaurant for $200 million, that Michael Oher is coming for money. Tuohy claimed, the father Tuohy, Mr. Tuohy, claimed that Michael Oher tried to shake him down for $15 million before he went public with the whole scenario of filing the case. Another perspective that I see also is that, did Michael Oher's personality, name, likeness, image get them money to build their franchise to that big, or the restaurant company to being that large?
When I moved in with the Tuohys family, who I'm grateful for letting me stay my senior year there. But you have to understand, and I was an All-American football player before I moved in with him.
Was it the notoriety? Was it, something to do with Michael Oher's name that got them to the point where they can sell a company for $200 million? I think Michael Oher may be concerned about that. But what I really don't understand, and this maybe unfortunately in the public eye, this will come out, is that where did the relationship break down at? Because it seems like it was a very good success story. Now, the movie may not have been a depiction completely of what was going on, but you see the Tuohys with him in high school, with him going to college at Ole Miss. They were alumni of Ole Miss. And then you see him in his NFL draft, which is one of the biggest days of any college football player's life, is when they get drafted to the NFL. He was a first round draft, and they were there at his draft party. I mean, they were there. I don't know if they just had a separate picture, but the pictures I see online is just the Tuohy family, a black kid that may have been one of his siblings or cousins, and it's like the whole family, the Tuohy family, was there taking a picture. Now, he may have taken a separate picture with his biological family, but I find it very interesting that they had a great relationship all the way to that point, and then it began to be fractured. You would think they would be able to say, hey, man, you sold a company for $200 million. Like, let's talk about something. We're family. Give me a little bump or something on it. And you would think that's the daddy Tuohy would say, let's work something out, man. I love you. I signed all this money. I got $200 million in the bank. I can give you a couple million. That ain't nothing. I get all my kids a couple million, put something in the trust for you, like whatever the case may be. You would think that they would be able to have a conversation about that. But from what it looks like, when you go to filing stuff in the courts and different things like that, it seems like you've kind of gotten over the part where you're amicable.
I think a lot of the a lot of mentioning of the movie and how much money it makes also kind of implies that you guys as a family were benefiting and he was not. Was everybody but him getting paid off of that, or how'd the money shake out?
No, and I don't want to take too much thunder, and I don't know if I can legally say this, but I know there's an article being written in the Atlantic with a couple guys that were really, really understand the finances of that situation really well, and that will be something to look for. But no, I've never once talked about truthfully how much money I have made off the movie. But candidly, I don't care that much. It's going to be public record that ours anyway. But for years. I remember when I got the first check from the University of Arkansas. We were in Memphis, and we were trying not to give me illegal recruiting implications. I was around my house at the time, and I met my dad for lunch, and he gave me the check, and I'm like, "We get paid off this thing?" He's like, "Yeah, it's made so much money now that like they can't hide it." I think there was like a 2.5% kicker down the line. Again, it'll be public, so someone that really cares to go back and read through it can do so. And I bet through that we as in me personally only, because I can speak for that, I've made like 60, 70 grand over the course of the last 4 or 5 years. It comes in like the first year was like a $14,000 check, and then it was like an 8 and 7 and whatever, so on, so forth down. That math didn't add up, but it started off a little higher and then it went down.
That was my philosophy and take on that. I want to interview Michael Oher, but I don't want to interview Michael Oher without the Tuohys, because I think that it would be completely unfair to my audience if I only interview one party, because he's obviously has his perspective. I like him. I know him. I don't know them. So I want to interview him, but I also want to get them to have a voice, because I don't know Michael Oher to the point where we're like best friends and I've grew up with him. So I don't know if he has some motive or is he telling the truth. I have no idea. And as an impartial person myself, I'm open to being like, okay, I like you, man, but like this don't make sense. But what I don't want to do is be fooled into promoting something and it not be true without a balanced perspective. In this particular situation, because I've met Michael Oher and he seemed like a genuine guy, I tend to feel like, why would he lie about this, right? Why would this be a lie coming from him? But also some of the things that the Tuohys said seemed confident and consistent with reality. So it's like, why would they lie about it? Long story short, we got to hear from both sides. And if I do that interview, I'll probably do it on a YouTube channel so we can have a full breadth conversation about this.